She's a history-making White House advisor, a mother, a daughter, a respected attorney, and a powerful business executive, considered one of this century's most influential Black women. It's a life in public service and politics that Valerie Jarrett chronicled in her New York Times bestseller.
I grew up all over the world. I had two parents who loved me dearly, who gave me support and a safety net and encouraged me to discover my own dreams, and grew up in a big extended family that wrapped their arms around me tightly and loved me and helped propel me to where I am today.
Where she is today is in the C-suite of the Obama Foundation, but her journey began in Iran, where her father, who was a physician, moved the family to take a medical position not available in the segregated U.S.
I learned in Iran, where I grew up on a hospital compound with children from all over the world, that I could find something in common with just about anybody.
It helped her navigate life with her parents across continents and cities, including Cairo, Tokyo, London, and finally, Chicago.
My mother was a trailblazer in the field of early childhood development. My mother used to always say, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. And I certainly used it with my daughter, and I think that helped instill in me this sense of purpose and also resilience.
That sense of purpose and resilience led her first to a degree from Stanford, followed by a University of Michigan law degree and a stint as a very successful corporate attorney in Chicago. But her family's history of public service was in her blood. Her grandfather headed the Chicago Housing Authority in the 40s. It propelled her into government work, first for Mayor Harold Washington and then Mayor Richard Daley.
So I joined government in order to serve. And I think that that has remained my true north through my time in city government and regional government, and then the White House, was just focus on the service and think of politics as a means to an end, not an end unto itself.
It was as Mayor Daley's deputy chief of staff that she would make her most impactful hire, offering a job to Michelle Robinson. But Robinson's fiancé wanted to know more about the position and about her.
So the first time I met Barack Obama was when we had dinner, and he started asking me a bunch of probing questions like, well, where are you from? Chicago. Did you grow up here? Yes. Were you born here? And I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to explain I was born in Iran. And he was the first person in my life who, when I told him I was born in Iran, said, well, that's interesting. He said, you know, I lived in Indonesia as a child. And I said, really? Well, that's interesting. And we started to bond. And so I've often told people that you have to be willing to tell people your story.
The blossoming friendship would take her into Barack Obama's Senate campaign and then into the White House as assistant to the president for intergovernmental relations and public engagement.
I think what I tried to remind myself of every day was that it was never about me. It wasn't even really about him. It was about what we could do with what we had to give back and to serve our country.
And some of the highlights of her tenure as the longest-serving advisor to the President of the United States, Valerie helped galvanize a team to assist President Obama pass life-changing legislation, including the Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act, the Affordable Care Act that continues to provide health insurance to millions of Americans, the repeal of Don't Ask, Don't Tell in the military, and she served as chair of the White House Council on Women and Girls. She feels experience gained at the White House is applicable to today's women of power.
I think it's really important for Black women to remind themselves that they have something unique and important to offer. If they have a seat at the table, they have more than earned it, because the deck is stacked against them even having that seat.
Today, Valerie sits on several nonprofit boards and corporate boards, including Ariel Investments, Walgreens Boots Alliance, Ralph Lauren, and Sweetgreen. And while she gives advice to these major corporations and organizations, she often gets advice from her own personal network.
I have a close circle of family and friends who I simply don't make major decisions without consulting them.
Today, she's incredibly moved to be getting an award in honor of Barbara Graves.
I am deeply and profoundly humbled to receive the Barbara Graves Award. Her shoes are enormously large, and if I can just fill a big toe compared to what she did through her legacy, then it's a life well lived.
And what does she hope her legacy will be?
I would hope that my legacy would be that I made things a little easier on the next generation. And I think that my true north over the arc of public service is putting the spotlight and lifting people up who are talented, because talent is ubiquitous. It's opportunity that's not. And so if I have helped create opportunity for the next generation, then that, I hope, will be my legacy.
For her trailblazing public service, her continuing efforts to open more opportunities, and her work to improve lives across this country, Black Enterprise is proud to present the 2025 Women of Power Barbara Graves Award to Valerie Jarrett.
Surprise! I realize this probably is not a huge shock for Valerie, but I wanted to join you in congratulating my dear friend on being honored with tonight's Legacy Award. Valerie has been like a sister to Michelle and me for more than 3 decades, sharing in our joys and easing our burdens every step of the way. And we're not the only ones. Valerie has always been incredibly accomplished in her own right, but what sets her apart is her ability to spot and nurture talent, to make people feel comfortable, and to advocate on their behalf. When we were in the White House, for example, everybody tended to be on their best behavior in front of me. But staffers confided in Valerie, and she'd then bring issues to my attention, making sure I knew what was going on, and helping me sometimes examine my own blind spots. It's an example of something I've always known to be true, that if you need somebody in your corner, there's nobody better than Valerie Jarrett. So, congratulations, Valerie. Thank you for helping so many people, including women of color, recognize their worth and reach their potential. We love you.